The fact of the matter is we all will eventually have adversity to deal with. The important thing is we need to know how to reframe that adversity into really meaningful opportunities. The way my life started out, I didn't have hope. My parents didn't have hope at first, but I found hope thanks to my parents. And people need to find hope no matter how difficult it seems like, no matter how unreachable the goal seems like. Push. Persevere until success happens.
Hello and welcome to Along the Way Life's Journey. I'm your host, Carl Buccellato. During the late 1950s and early 1960s, the drug thalidomide was prescribed to pregnant women to ease morning sickness. The results were many babies born with birth defects, mainly underdeveloped limbs. German-born Sabine Becker is an award-winning inspirational speaker who has appeared on the P.U.S.H network as well as Oprah Winfrey's network. But when she was born, there was little hope for her to survive, let alone live a fulfilling and independent life. Sabine was born with very small arms. Many families, unable to cope with such grief, put their children in government-sponsored homes. But Sabine's parents did not. Instead, they gave her love and support and taught her she could do and be anything she chose to be. She soon discovered the skill of hope and developed a lifelong passion for the possible. Throughout the years, Sabine defied limiting beliefs by using her acronym P.U.S.H, P-U-S-H, Persevere until success happens. She learned to navigate an armed world by using her feet for all her daily tasks. As if mastering the challenges of living with her disability wasn't enough, in 2012, she faced another serious and life-altering event. While driving her car, Sabine suffered a massive stroke, something I know about very well. Again, she did not allow her circumstances to control her life. Her acronym PUSH gave her the courage to persevere through 1 year of rehabilitation, learning how to walk and talk again. Described as a speaker no one will ever forget, and I believe that already, Sabine utilizes the hard-won lessons gained from her disability and her near-death experiences to motivate people worldwide to say no limiting beliefs. Her mission is to provide her audience with easy-to-follow steps to reframe adversity into meaningful opportunities by combining hope and positive thinking with the international action of PUSH. Please welcome a truly amazing woman, Sabine Becker. Sabine, thank you so much for coming to our show.
Thank you so much, Carl, for having me here. I'm so excited. I've seen you on your podcast, and I thought I have to meet Mr. Carl. So awesome to be here, truly.
You. Thank you. It's kind of a reciprocal thing because my producer gave me a list of people for potential guests on the show, and he sent a clip of yours, and he said, take a look and see if she's acceptable. I looked at about 3 seconds. I said, acceptable? Are you kidding? I love her.
He's funny. Oh, God. Yeah.
I do. I'm a man who is not ashamed or afraid to say what he believes and feels. I'm a Christian, and I have a heart for giving to other people, as you certainly do. And the minute I saw your tapes and things, I said, oh, I gotta meet this woman. She's fantastic. So again, thank you and welcome to the show. I know that you must have a very busy schedule, traveling all over the world and presenting in various places. Before we get into all of your current things that you're doing, first of all, it's quite an impressive series of events that you were involved with that got you involved in speaking and on shows and networks and things of that kind. But tell us a little bit about Sabine as a child growing up. Let us start from the beginning.
Absolutely, Carl. As people probably can hear, I have an accent, and I was born in Germany. German parents, and I got raised in Germany. I went to school to Germany, but everything was not that easy. It was not, quote, a regular, normal life, because as you already said in the intro, I was born with very, very small arms due to the drug thalidomide. And some people still remember thalidomide. It was a drug that was given to pregnant women in the 1950s, late 1950s, early 60s. and it was supposed to help with insomnia, anxiety, and most of all, morning sickness. But unfortunately, the result was that were 20,000 babies born with very small arms and other disabilities, which thankfully I don't have. But I was born with very small arms. And that is really hard to imagine a life with very small arms. But in the 1960s in Germany, that was still post-war Germany, which came still with a mentality of what people were thinking about children or adults with disabilities. And there really was not much hope for somebody like me to function ever in society, let alone get an education, let alone marry. But I was lucky because I had and have parents who were just differently thinking. They were very forward thinking. They were very, especially for my mother, it was very, very, very hard to really accept me because I had little arms, and she in her entire life felt guilt about that. But still, she taught me one thing, and especially my father, that I can do whatever I want to learn, and I can do anything in life. However, I have to do it very differently than all the other kids. So what they did, and my mother, she's one of those Germans. She doesn't take no for an answer. She's a very tough woman, very tough. Mamma mia, very tough woman. And she just doesn't take no for an answer. So she went out and was looking for an occupational and physical therapist until she found the one or two, actually, I needed two therapists who taught me how to use my feet for all daily tasks. So now I want your viewers and listeners to imagine how it would be to tie your hands behind your back and try to get dressed. How would it be to brush your hair in the morning? How would it be to wash your hair? How would it be to drive a non-modified car with your feet?
Amazing.
And I want to just pause here because if you don't see it, it's hard to imagine. But I had to learn it because I was always a go-getter from when I was a kid. There were no doubts in my mind that I can. I grew up with the I can attitude. And again, like my mother, I never took no for an answer. So it was hard because the other kids, they were playing while I was in physical occupational therapy.
Yeah.
So I don't want to make that sound easy. It took, that's when I already learned how to push. You see it in my background, P.U.S.H, persevere until success happens. And that's when I learned that as a small kid, that you just have sometimes to persevere, even that is really hard. And, I sometimes say, and I don't like to use this word, Carl, that I was a victim of thalidomide. The 20,000 babies were victims
Yes.
of pharmaceutical greed
Yes.
and pharmaceutical negligence.
Yes.
However, yes, we were victims, but then you start having choices. And my choice was not to be a victim any longer, to do something with my life, which I think I did. I did regular high school, I did college, I have a master's in psychology, and I have a beautiful son, Nicola, who was born in 1983, so he's almost 40 years old.
Yeah.
And, there again, I was faced with suddenly having this tiny, tiny little baby. And it was kind of like, for most mothers, I think it is difficult to what do I do now? I mean, we're
Yes.
not born just to know exactly what to do
Right.
with a baby. But for me, it was extra difficult because how do you hold a baby? I mean, my
Right.
arms, as you can sort of see, they are really super
Yeah.
short.
Yes.
So I had to teach myself how to hold him with my legs and how to feed him with my feet and how to bathe him with my feet, how to dress him with my feet. And that, Carl, probably was the hardest time in my life.
I can imagine. And I can imagine that with all those physical issues, which you had to overcome and push through, there must have been some other emotional issues as well. I can imagine, as a child growing up with other children, children have a tendency to be mean and harsh with other people. And even in the best of times, there are children that are just bullies in the schoolyard
Yeah,
or on the street.
yeah.
And I imagine that you had to learn how to stiffen yourself and overcome those kind of comments. Is that
You know
true?
what I did? You know what I did? Again, because of my tough German mother, she told me, Sabine, do not let anybody tell you that you're any less. You can do whatever you want. That's
I'm
what she
loving your mother
constantly.
more every minute you talk.
See?
I love her
Well, I
more.
mean, I'm telling you,
That's
today
wonderful.
she's 92 and she still doesn't take anything
God
from
bless her.
anybody.
God
No,
bless her.
but I always had that air of, do not mess with me. I'm really nice, but I can be also pooh. So I did not really have a lot of teasing because my secret really was I did not think of myself as disabled. And I think that came across as so between my attitude, don't mess with me, and that I'm not disabled. I think that's why I never really got teased a lot. I just went through
Well,
school and yeah.
that's wonderful. And how about when you found that you were pregnant? Did you have any momentary thoughts and fears of, oh, I hope my baby is born full and complete? And dear God, help me with this. I'm sure there were moments
Yeah,
like that as well.
of course, of course. I think it is normal for any woman to have, oh my gosh, whoa, now I'm going to bring this tiny little real
Right,
human being onto
right.
this earth. And for me, it was, of course, bigger than that. But I knew already that my baby, if I ever will have children, will not be disabled because it's not genetic. It was a drug that, stopped the growth of my arms. So I wasn't too concerned about that. But of course, I was concerned, how do I do it? How do I
Of
do it? I
course.
mean, my husband was very, very supportive, but still, I still was sometimes home alone with my tiny little newborn baby. It's like, oh, yeah.
I could understand that because I had 4 children myself,
Oh,
and through most of their years when they were growing up, I was traveling, building businesses, and
yeah,
my then wife was left alone with them all the time.
yeah,
And
yeah,
there are times that I felt pretty guilty about not being there to participate. But
yeah,
you do what you can do, and all you can do is love each other and try and support as much as you can. I guess
absolutely.
that's part of the push situation also, not only to
Mhm.
persevere until you have success physically, but emotionally to
Yeah,
overcome the issue and
right,
embrace what's
right.
possible.
Right, absolutely. And you bring up a good point. What is possible? Because throughout my life, I learned to develop. It didn't come just, I was born with it, but I developed a passion for the possible because I have such a passion when I run into obstacles to see what is possible here. Because it's so easy to think, oh, this cannot work, this won't work. How I'm going to do it? Oh, I better don't do anything. That kind of thinking.
Yeah.
I sometimes have that too. Of course, I mean, I'm not superhuman, but I think, okay, stop right here. Stop right here. The voice is talking. That inner crazy making voice. Why something is hard? Why something uh, might not be possible, but and then I stop that voice and I say, yes, it is possible because I developed a passion for the possible.
That's why you're the woman you are today. You are an amazing glow, and you live a full life. You live
Yeah.
complete with the joys of life, and I think
Yes.
that's amazing. I know very well the kind of people you're talking about. I have seen and known people who
Yeah.
consider themselves a victim for the minorest things in life. And as a result of that, they retract into themselves and they
Yeah.
become a victim of themselves. They never enjoy life. They've never experienced life. But you've overcome
Right.
that. And
Yeah.
so one of the things about this show is I bring guests like yourself to talk about inspirational and motivational people that have touched them in their lives and brought them to a place where they have more strength and reach and belief. And in my case, it was
Yeah.
a faith in Christ,
Yes.
and you've already spoken about your mother and your father and how influential they were on you. I
Mm.
mean, amazing people to say, this is my child and she will have
Yes.
everything in life she wants. All she's
Yes.
got, we just have to love her and nurture her and give her an
Yeah.
opportunity. And that was wonderful.
Absolutely.
So who else
Yes.
did you meet in your life that might have inspired you?
Who else met her? I'd never met her in person. I wish to this day to meet her in person. She is a Christian, and when she was young, she jumped in the water head
Oh,
first
yes,
and
yes,
broke
Joni. Yes, Joni,
Erickson, Erickson,
Joni, Joni, it's
Johnny Erickson.
Erickson, Joni,
Yeah.
Joni
Woo!
Erickson. Right, Joni Erickson.
Between the two of us, and my grandmother, who was also very, very influential in my life. My grandmother, when I was maybe 13 and not at a good place in my life, because I mean, I wasn't always this way. I moped around, well, why me? Look at everybody else. They have
Right,
arms, boo, My grandmother gave me Joni's book, where she describes the accident and how through the love for Christ, survived and made something out of her life.
right.
And I thought at the time, that is so amazing. It's like, wow, how can she do it? And because I cannot imagine not to walk around and I was so impressed at the age of 13 or 14, and I credit Joni for having pulled me out of that funk I was in, mainly because I was a teenager, and then your voices in your head are a little
Of
bit,
course,
you
of
know.
course.
So I think she doesn't know that, but I credit her tremendously for that book she wrote and for the strength she gave me through that book. And that's when I first heard. My family was not necessarily very believers, uh, but that's when I first heard of God. Whoa, I wonder who he is. But
Yeah,
and so I became curious, and through my life, I struggled with that relationship, but it helped me, especially it helped me at that big event, my life-changing event in 2012. Definitely
yeah. Let's
he
talk.
he saved my life.
Well, I have a personal awareness of that myself. So let's talk about that a little bit. You were driving the car.
Yeah. That is something still so overwhelming. I talk all the time about it, but I get sometimes so overwhelmed uh, because I was driving my car in northern New Mexico, in the mountains of northern New Mexico, and the
Mm,
setting is really important because it's a very isolated place.
yeah,
Anybody who has been north of Santa Fe
yeah.
knows exactly how it looks
I'm
like.
very familiar with it. I know what you mean,
Yeah, beautiful, but when something
but
happens,
desolate.
yeah, exactly. And I was driving along, and I'm suddenly the road was very straight, and suddenly I'm thinking, oh man, this road, what's happening? What's happening? Because it was zigzagging and twirling, and I saw colors, mainly red, orange, yellow, that kind of stuff. And I still thought, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then I passed out in front of a steering wheel. Yes, like I said, I drive a non-modified car, have driven since age of 18. And in this case, I passed out because I had a massive stroke while I was driving the car.
Now, I'm
So
assuming when
yes,
you say a massive stroke, it wasn't
massive.
a blockage; it was a hemorrhagic.
No, it was an ischemic stroke, which is a blockage.
Yeah,
But because it was so far away from any kind of hospital that
yeah,
could have helped me,
yeah.
my brain didn't receive the oxygen it needed, and it was dying every minute. Many parts of my brain are dead right now, as a matter of fact, as we speak, right? But the reason why I survived that because that day I had a passenger with me. And that passenger did not panic. He saw me falling over onto my steering wheel. He later told me then that the car went from 55 miles per hour to 85 miles per
Wow.
hour. And he didn't panic, and he grabbed the steering wheel. And then last second, he said, I mean, we were seconds away from crashing into the Rio Grande River. And then we probably would have both been dead.
Yeah.
So I do believe God was with me.
So you
Yes,
had God above you and an angel by your side.
absolutely. Oh, I love it. I love it. I would take that line. Thank you.
Thank you.
An angel by my side.
I'm
And
familiar with these things because on
yeah.
April 11th, 2011, I
Oh,
had a hemorrhagic stroke.
oh, you
I had a
did.
rupture of a half-inch bleeder in my brain. By the time they got me to the hospital, 5 doctors told my wife I would not survive the night.
Oh, God. Wow.
But I'm here. God has blessed me. All of
Oh,
the side effects, with one minor side effects, are gone. I still occasionally bite my tongue when I eat, and I don't know it because I have no sensitivity in it. But other
right.
than that, I can laugh, I can sing, I can give praise to God every day, and
Yes.
I'm 80 years old, so I'm pretty good for my age.
Well, I would say so. My goodness. God, that is amazing. So it was an aneurysm, right?
It was a hemorrhagic stroke, a
Yeah.
bleeder, a
So
rupture in the brain. The
that
aneurysm is a
is,
bubble. The
yeah,
rupture
exactly.
where the vein opens up, and my skull filled with blood. And but I'm here and I'm
Yeah.
fine.
And you're here and you're fine. And that's, again, I love that you don't cry about it. You say, I'm here, I'm fine. I can still praise the Lord. I can still sing. I still can have fun in life. And
Yep.
I love that because, it's not easy. I don't know about your rehabilitation, but my rehabilitation, because it took almost 3 hours
Mm.
to get me to the hospital in Albuquerque, where they could give me the TPA, that's a blood clot
Yeah.
busting drug.
Yeah.
And it took forever. That's why I had so much brain damage. I couldn't walk. I could not speak. I mean, I love to speak. I think everybody hears this, right? I could not speak, and my left foot looked like frozen in time. It couldn't move. My left foot is the foot I do everything with. I brush my hair, get dressed, drive my car. So all that was totally down. And there push. I'm glad that I learned how to push earlier on in life. I don't know well, what I would have done without my own acronym, because I knew I had to push, I had to persevere till I was able to take one step. And one step, we take steps so easy in life, one step, and we don't even think about it. But when you can't do it, your brain doesn't even know how to do it.
Right.
It took months before I was able to take my first step, and I was sweating so hard it was. And today I'm fine. I'm fully recuperated, but it was, it was one full year, almost to the day, 365 days.
A long
Um,
battle. It's a long battle.
it was a battle, yeah. And I really, besides the angel next to me, I love that. I credit God for being there, because normally that particular passenger, although it's a longtime friend of mine, he never drove with me ever in all the 20 years I have known him. But that day he was there. So God really sent him to help me survive, because now that I have a second chance in life.
It's very obvious to me. I hear story after story like that. There's no such thing as coincidence
No,
that he was there. Some people might call that a Godowince, where God instituted it, that he'd be there where he wasn't normally there.
right.
I choose to believe that you and I both had more to do, more service to give to mankind, and that's why we were spared. And I truly believe that those of us who have been giving much, and the gift of life itself is so much, we have an obligation to give to others, to teach them that whatever you're in, you can overcome it. whatever they're
Absolutely.
repressing you, you can stand and accomplish again. You just
Mhm.
don't let it squash you.
No, exactly. And I love that because one of my tips for the viewers of this podcast, and when I speak my inspirational speeches, one of the tips I would say what helped me at least, it's you got to find somehow hope, because hope is that you think that it will be a positive outcome. Because I remember that finally in the neuro intensive care unit, where I was about 10 days, which is extremely long
Yeah.
for a neuro intensive care unit,
Yeah.
I thought, oh my gosh, I cannot walk, I cannot walk. But something in my brain kicked in, but I will walk again. It was just a matter of time. I don't know where I took it from, and I couldn't communicate that to anybody because my speech center, my ability to speak was gone. But I knew I had hope that one day I will walk again. And that's why I was able to go on this incredibly tough journey of rehabilitation, because every step, really, you got to have hope. It- because some people really live through tragedy,
Right.
and somehow inside of you, I don't even know where it comes from, you have to believe that there will be a positive outcome.
Yeah, there's a spark inside of all of us. If
Yes,
we're attentive to it and we listen to it, it'll help us
correct.
through it. There's a spark inside of all
Absolutely.
of us.
Absolutely. I totally believe in that. And we just have to find it, and it will take work, because I believe that everybody has the opportunity within themselves to redesign their lives despite adversity.
Right.
And it would be so easy to just sit there, oh, this can't happen, that can't happen, and turn the news on. I mean, it's like, oh, you barely dare anymore to turn the news on, which I actually don't much, not much at all, because I want to stay on the path of being positive, and then anything is possible with
Absolutely.
hope and action, the push action.
I completely agree with that. I think that I have had many experiences in my life where I had to remind myself over and over again, don't say I can't, say I
Oh,
won't. When you
yeah,
recognize you're saying I won't, then you
yeah,
can say I will, and you can do it,
absolutely.
you know,
I love that.
then
I
you
love
can do
it.
it. But if you keep
Yeah.
babying yourself and saying I can't, that's
Yeah.
nonsense. Tell the truth. Say I won't. If you don't
Yeah.
want to do it, if you want to be lazy and sit there, say I won't. When you recognize that's not true, then you will. You'll get up
Yes.
and you'll go the extra mile and
Absolutely.
you'll get it done. I
I love
completely.
it. I love it.
So let me just say, ladies and gentlemen that are watching the show, we're going to have all of the contact information where you can reach Sabine in the show notes. You don't have to bother writing anything down. You'll find her website where she could be reached. When did you come to the United States?
I immigrated with my son in 1988. 1988, early 88, and out of all the places, believe it or not, Alaska.
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 Wow.
And I don't even like the cold.
I was going to say, are you from an alpine family?
No, not at all. I love warm, but many, many circumstances led us to Anchorage and then Fairbanks, Alaska. And we had a good 15 years up there, my son and I, because his father died. So that was another tragedy. He actually died of a ruptured brain aneurysm.
Oh my.
And yeah, my son was very young when that happened. So here I was, a single disabled mom to raise a small child. And it was tough. Again, push. What else can you do? Push through every single day, take it step by step, and celebrate the good things in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Celebrate.
Celebrate.
Absolutely.
You got to sometimes just celebrate to celebrate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I get
I
up every
celebrate all
morning.
the time.
I get up every morning, and before I get my head off the pillow, I say the Lord's Prayer and I thank Him for the gift of one more
Yes,
day of life.
I
Just one
love
more
it.
day of life. And then at
I
the end
love
of the
it.
evening, I do a refresher of conscience and say, okay, Lord, what did I do with that day you gave me, that extra day? I'll try and do better tomorrow.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love it because that's so important to celebrate our little small wins, even if they're small. You just got through the day. I mean, this is great. And what did I do? What could I do? What could I improve on? I love it. I love it. So
So I
just
also
be
see that your
grateful.
son has now made you a grandmother.
Yes.
You want to talk about the grandchildren?
Absolutely. That's my favorite subject
Of
out of
course.
all of them. You do have grandchildren, right,
I
Carl?
have 4 grandchildren and 5 great grandchildren.
5 great, oh gosh,
I said before I'm
unbelievable.
80 years old. So
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have 3 adorable grandchildren. Ronan is 9 years old, Declan is 6 years old, and the small one, kiwi, like the fruit. Kiwi
Kiwi.
is he had his birthday just a few days ago. He's 4 years old,
Well, happy
and
birthday,
they're
Kiwi.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, just a few days, and it was a big affair for him to turn
Sure.
4 years old. And I love him to pieces. I had the opportunity. I'm here at the West Coast in San Diego, and my son is military, so he has to go where they sent him to. So right now he's in North Carolina. And so I had the opportunity to fly out there to North Carolina for 6 weeks and babysit all my
And you loved
grandchildren,
every minute of it.
every single minute of it. Although, in the end, I thought, oh, maybe I really should go home. Like they have their own little minds, especially the little guy who was then 3 years old. They all have their little minds, but I swear, they're so cute. And they really inspire me. And that's another tip. I put all these little tips in here for your listeners, for your viewers. That's another tip. When we have children and when we have grandchildren, like you, great grandchildren, and even if we don't have children, it's still, what do we leave? What legacy do we leave behind for others? Our children,
Right.
grandchildren, great grandchildren. How do you want to be remembered? And that is very, very important to me. What do I want my little Kiwi boy? What do I want Declan or Ronan and my son and people who are very close to me? What do I want to be remembered for? Do I want them to remember me as this really sad woman with the small arms, or do I want them to remember me for this woman who believed that she could push no matter what, always believed in a positive outcome, have my why in place. Why do I do that? Because I love helping others, to inspire them to find the possibility. So that's what I live for, and that hopefully will be my legacy. As a matter of fact, some people think it's a little bit morbid. Others think, oh, this is a great idea. I've written my eulogy, and what that inspired me to do is live up to that eulogy. And I saw I still want to do so many things. I want to write a book. I still want to have a podcast and make even more, reach more people on bigger stages. Be on Tony Robbins' stage. And I didn't have a personal interview with Oprah, but I was on one of her shows. So I kind of already did that. But, I want to live up to the eulogy I have written. And that inspires me enormously. And the biggest thing that inspires me, what legacy do we want
Absolutely.
leave
I say
behind?
at the close of every show, I talk to my audience and I say to them, everybody has their own story and they have their own unique story. No one can tell it like they can. Tell their friends, tell their family, tell their loved ones, write it down because
Yes.
it's important to share. Because when it's too late, it's too late. No one will know anything from it. So I want to encourage you, young lady, write that book.
I know,
Write
I
that
know, I
book
know.
because you have so much to say. So many people
Yes.
can benefit from it.
Yes.
I'm here today and we're talking on this podcast today because you see that book behind there? I wrote that book a couple of years
Yeah.
ago. It's called To Every Page Turning, One Life's Journey. And it
Yeah.
pretty much parallels my life and the changes in my generation over the 20th century, from a war baby through the war
Hmm.
years and so forth and so on. And because of that book, so many people contacted me and said it benefited them. It helped them to overcome their own past syndromes and pain. So I took the money from that book and I put it into this podcast
Yeah.
so that we can meet people and share that benefit for others. So I'm going to encourage you, write the book. I'll buy
Write the
the first
book.
10 and give them to friends. Write the book.
Write the book. And I started to do it. I do it, technology for people like me is amazing.
Yes,
I have speech recognition. I
sure.
speak a lot of my text in there, and I guess they're speech to text conversion apps. And I'm figuring this out right now. And I have all the chapters already lined up. But I would like to talk to you privately, if you could. Can I
Listen,
contact
I am
Mike
going to be
to?
available to you anytime you want,
Oh, I
for
would love
anything you
that.
want,
I
because I
really
think your
would like to
story
pick your
very
brain.
important. I think it's
Thank you.
very important. And I also want to say this to you. I know things are not easy, but I like that voice transfer thing also because it spells better than I do. You know,
This is- yeah.
Mark Twain used to say, "It's only a feeble mind that could spell a word one way." Well, I'm Mark Twain.
I love it. So true, Carl. But yeah, no, I mean, technology is really incredible. I'm working on a speech, which, accessibility and technology, and I'm applying to TED or TEDx and TED.
Yeah,
I always have very high goals I aim towards it because it's so important, how technology made our people who have different needs, I guess, how much technology has helped us. And
yes.
I'm writing a speech right now, but that book definitely it's going to be done.
Great. I'm going to hold you to it. I
Oh,
could
you
be
did
I
you
could be a nudge like your mother. When are you going to do
accountability
it?
partner, accountability partner. I love
That's
it.
right.
I love it. I love it.
It's funny that you're in San Diego because just about an hour ago, I finished recording another show with a man from Del Coronado, who is your
Yeah,
neighbor in Del Coronado. And
absolutely.
his
Absolutely.
name is Len Kane. He's retired United States naval fighter pilot. And
Oh,
he is the original Top Gun in 1949. The one they made the movie about. That's
yeah,
him.
yeah.
And he's
I
gone
just,
through
yeah.
he's gone through all these various placades, and they've given him every tribute in the world that you can think of. But what he does now, he founded an organization called the Golden Rule Society, and his aim is to gather people from around the world to be kind to one another, to provide services and help to others who need it. And it's a
Yeah,
non-for-profit organization.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
he's your neighbor. He's your
He's my
neighbor.
neighbor. I will
And
contact you privately again
okay,
to
and
find
he
out.
and he has been named 5 times for the Nobel Peace Prize. In 2014, he was runner-up. He came in second in the world.
What an
That's your neighbor.
unbelievable honor. That's my neighbor. He lives right down the street. Yeah,
Okay,
let's
we'll
see
make
if
a
we can
connection.
connect all
We will
this.
make a connection.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to say whatever you like, and then I'll make a closing comment.
Okay, whatever I would like. Well, I don't know how to really close out, except to encourage people to keep on pushing, persevere until success happens. The fact of the matter is we all will eventually have adversity to deal with. And the important thing is we need to know how to reframe that adversity into really meaningful opportunities. The way my life started out, I didn't have hope. My parents didn't have hope at first, but I found hope thanks to my parents. And people need to find hope no matter how difficult it seems like, no matter how unreachable the goal seems like. Push, persevere until success happens. And one of the other big things is have your why. Why do you do what you do? Because there has to be a purpose in life. If you don't have a purpose in life, then it is difficult to accelerate and to reach. You just kind of live into your life. So have a purpose. And I found my purpose because of the incident in 2012 where I almost died. I always had purpose to help others, but when I saw how close I came to death at age of 50, I decided I make my second chance work, because we're not all as lucky as you, Carl, and me. Not everybody gets a
Right.
second chance. So
Right.
make your life count. It's a beautiful, very rewarding life. And also remember the legacy you leave behind for your children, grandchildren, or others.
Well, that was wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this show resonated with you. If this didn't, I don't know what does. This is this is such a source of inspiration, such a meaty subject, and a wonderful person to share her life and her experiences with you. Make use of it. Don't take it idly. Listen to it. Take it to heart. Spend some quiet moments alone, rethinking again what the pearls that you've heard in this show, because there were many pearls in this show. Make it become your mantra, your marching order. How am I going to spend the rest of my life? What am I going to do with my life? How am I going to benefit mankind? It's up to you. I said earlier, you have one story. No one can tell it like you. Make sure it's told. Make sure it's known, because the world needs to hear it. And I also tell you, we do a new show every Wednesday morning. We bring forth wonderful guests like Sabine. If you know someone you'd like to suggest to be on the show, certainly write in. If you'd like to be considered a guest on the show, write in, tell us a little something about you. One of us will contact you and we'll have a discussion about it. And I leave you today with a very important message. It's not a new message, but it's an important message. It's the same message I tell you every week. Love somebody today.
Mhm.
Wrap your arms around them and tell them how important they are to you.
Yeah.
Go forth and make a difference in this world. I love you, girl. See
My
you soon.
goodness, love you, love you. Let's stay in contact. I would love
Absolutely
that,
will.
my accountability partner.
Okay. Bye-bye, all. See
Bye-bye.
you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning into the show. I hope that it resonated with you. It certainly did with me. And I hope it encouraged you to realize the true power of your story. As a reminder, new episodes will be released Wednesday mornings on your favorite podcast apps and also on YouTube as well. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn your notification button on to ensure that you receive updates on new episode releases. I'm grateful for your reviews and your support. The love is certainly felt. Keep it coming. You can reach out to connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, or stop by my website, toeverypageofturning.com. All links are clickable in the show notes for quick access. Do you think that you or someone you know may be our most inspiring guest yet? Let's hope so. Click on our contact page and get in touch on my website and share your story. I look forward to reading each one personally. My best-selling book, To Every Page of Turning, which was published by Mascot Books, is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, and many more popular book retailers. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Till next time, remember that every day is a new opportunity to write your new page in your incredible journey. And it is incredible. You're the only one who has it.